What's Undertale?
It's the year 2015. The guy from The Apprentice is running for president. Vine is the hottest social media platform, and a little indie game called Undertale is released by the hack known as Toby Fox. I don't have anything against him. I don't know why I said that. Initially funded on Kickstarter, Undertale proved to be massively popular, spawning one of the most prominent online fan bases of the mid-2010s. And these years were called the mid-2010s for a reason. Alright folks, I feel like that era was the Wild West of internet cringe culture. Sure, you had infamous things before and after, but this era is when the idea of cringe as we sort of know it today became this huge phenomenon. As a younger person around at the time, being swept up in cringe culture did a number on my ability to just enjoy new TV and games, because everything that came out usually got roped into being seen as le gay autistic cancer. Like, I liked Steven Universe, I liked Minecraft, but if you were public about it in a certain way, you had a good chance of Randy's calling you things I'd rather not repeat for you folks right now. Wasn't a fun time, but since Undertale is turning 10 years old this month, I thought it would be fun to look back in hindsight to that time, when Undertale was either everyone's favorite game or the worst thing in the world. Go over those infamous animations and fan art that were spread around like anti-Undertale propaganda flyers. This is the Undertale Cringe War of the 2010s. A big part of the Humble Cringe compilation were animation memes, starting in the late 2000s on Japanese YouTube. The legend says that the trend eventually worked its way to the US, mostly in circles comprised of children drawing warrior cats. Midway through the decade, around the time of Undertale's popularity, these really took off. So, given the then current climate, you had Undertale animation memes. Need I remind you that the definition of animation meme was different than what some might think. Animation memes were usually set to music, and from the most stereotypical description just had the characters bobbing up and down or doing some kind of dance. Some of these were more involved in different ways, but the term animation meme is usually associated with these kind of rudimentary furry loops with some EDM track playing in the background. Like any sort of art online, they vary in quality, with some of the more amateur or low effort memes getting shuffled into the canon of online cringe. On the higher end, you'd have people actually using animation software, but in some of the more infamous cases, it'll be people making slideshows and flip a clip and recording the screen. There was this YouTuber I used to watch during my cringe phase called FNAF Sucks, later rebranded to Shuckle Squad, who would do these videos reacting to these FNAF and Undertale animations. I think aside from certain language, the reactions are still kind of funny.
Let's go back. There's a snake in my boot.
This guy definitely has a 9 to 5 now. I don't think this was a channel a ton of people watched, and there are videos not on the Shuckle Squad archive that I remember that are still lost. I think I can find footage of it on Twitter, but there was this one specifically where they react to this self-ship animation made on Flip-a-Clip with this pink cat girl being comforted by Sans Undertale.
Who's gonna save her?
And that's a good segue into our next topic.
Ladies, I'm trying to do my work today.
Sans fangirls. I don't know, dude, this is beyond self-ship, or, oh, Yume ship, I'm sorry. Sans fangirls were a trend that kicked off a bit after Undertale's initial success, and had a surprisingly long lifespan, crossing that generational gap into post-COVID internet culture. Judging by my professional internet sleuth research, this trend does date back to at least 2016. One of the most infamous early Sans fangirls is a channel that seemingly only I remember, called Mrs. Sans. Mrs. Sans, as I knew it, is no longer up, but I was able to find what clearly is the original channel with no videos. It might be safe to say she was the first. Searching by date on YouTube and finding reactions, it looks like the channel might have started posting in July of 2016, based on the amount of reactions and cringe rants about her. Looking back on what's left of Mrs. Sans, you can tell it's probably bait, but back then, Mrs. Sans was public enemy #1. Most people just sort of lumped Mrs. Sans in with the wider scope of Undertale cringe, but there are rants from little babies about how much of a menace to YouTube Mrs. Sans was.
If you're watching this, Mrs. Sans, I cannot trust your art, but it's time to stop. It's time to stop.
It's time to stop, okay? No more.
Genuinely some of the best rage bait of all time, again, if it really is. The person behind the Mrs. Sans YouTube has never dropped any sort of explanation or reveal or anything. This developed, I want to say, into a formula of videos wherein someone's Undertale OC or any sort of self-insert really says how they're Sans' real girlfriend and all the other Sans fangirls are fakers. And then Sans will come in and be like, "You're right, baby, come here, I love you." I'm not lying, there's gotta be hundreds like this. And since they're non-sharing, as they say nowadays, they would make animations of them killing the other Sans fangirls. It turned into Go Animate user rants really quickly, and it never died out either. Maybe the canon of which Sans fangirls were the most popular might have changed. I know the Scootaloo one has something to do with Birdie, which I am not touching, dude. But the formula remained the same. 2018, 2019, 2020 onwards, there were like fandom stereotypes and subcategories of Sans fangirls into 2021 and 2022, and there were still Sans girl, yeah, that's what they're called now, cringe compilations, because this was a widely circulated thing amongst the type of people to have Gacha Life rant sonas. As of 3 weeks ago to me writing this, there's one with 120k views. We're gonna be at the heat death of the universe, and there is still gonna be Sans fangirl cringe compilations, and it doesn't extend to Undertale. Infamously, there was an account on TikTok who did this with Boyfriend from FNF, and that really took off. The fangirl community has connections everywhere.
The Papyrus Sans put Crash Bandicoot in Undertale.
The Sans obsession of the 2010s was wild. It was pretty clear out the gate who the mascot of Undertale was. Just something about him. His attitude, his aura was so infectious to people. The Undertale AUs were absolutely bonkers. For anyone who doesn't know, Undertale AUs, or alternate universes, were fan-made reinterpretations of the Undertale character, usually Sans and Papyrus. They'd go into details about their worlds and all that, but a lot of fun came from making the Sans interact with each other, even shipping. Ooh. Like, I make fun of those Friday Night Funkin' creepypasta mods where there's like 20 different variations of what basically is just Sonic.exe, but this material was our generation's version of that. It goes in circles. It's like poetry, it rhymes. But back to Sans. He was the subject of a pretty infamous video by the now retired MatPat of Game Theory. Sans is Ness, or The Truth About Sans, suspiciously similar to The Truth About Toad by Rental Floss.
Just between us, I think he's definitely gay.
As someone who was there for the beginnings of Game Theory, I will say that connecting two games like this wasn't unheard of. The impression I get is that modern Game Theory is basically just dissecting FNAF lore, but old Game Theory was a completely different beast. It's one of those examples of YouTubers who softened up their content over time to make it acceptable for their increasingly younger audience. And with editing like this, I can see why it was so appealing to kids. I felt like an iPad baby watching this to talk about it. The Sans is Ness theory is believable, like he connects all the points, and to someone who hasn't played either game in a while, I can see what he's getting at. It's just that this was at the point where so many people were fed up with not only Undertale, but the Game Theory industrial complex as a whole. Giving the Pope Undertale coming out a few months after did not help at all. People memed on this for years after. And this, the Sans theory, is what inspired Steven After Not Surviving. I thought this was genuine for such a long time. Game Theory definitely recovered after the whole Undertale double whammy. Like, you know, MatPat's running for president and OnlyPlays predicted it.
I still say MatPat.
President MatPat?
MatPat for president.
President Matthew Patrick?
And that's bad. You don't want OnlyPlays predicting history. Speaking of OnlyPlays,
April Fool's Day prank.
this is something that they'd reference a lot back then. Relame Studios. I'm doing a FNAF fan animation video for Halloween, so I've already gotten my fill of Relame shenanigans making that, but I can't get enough. The Relame Undertale videos are just as, if not more, classic to me. So folks, Relame Studios is an Italian animator who made these very bizarre content farm videos back in the day. Angry Birds, FNAF. Eventually, he completely went off the rails and did these Fever Dream Cuphead videos. All have very bizarre animation, writing, voice acting. Overall, there's this uneasy tone like you're being threatened at knife point. I like the style these have because while a lot of the creative decisions are made because this is obviously a lazy content farm, so many other choices are baffling to the point you don't know what he was thinking. Like, if you knew animation software, you could realistically make acceptably bad content farm stuff, but this is worse. Like, all the original creative ideas this guy had were like off the rocker. I think there was some element to making himself laugh or sort of making it bad ironically, but I don't know his thought process for sure. I think it's safe to call this outsider art. So many 3Lame videos will have this formula, characters asking where they are, and then the other or the character from the game will explain that they're in Undertale or Minecraft or whatever.
Hey, I'm squared. I'm pixelated. Can you please tell me what's going on here?
Homer, it's so simple. We're in Minecraft.
And in the worst cases, it'll be the same shot of them with maybe the camera panning around. Some of the best material from my 3Lame connoisseurs is the Hulk animations or the twerking music videos. The thing about 3Lame is that you have to dig to find good videos. I do not envy the children who somehow stumbled upon any of this before his channel got nuked. The last thing I want to talk about before we all pack up and get going, Undertale the Musical by El Hugini and the massive comeback this had. Sans fangirls were one thing that sort of never stopped never stopping in its own area of the web, but this blew up. Originally, this animation was one of many. El Hugini is one of those channels that did music videos based on any big property at the time. For whatever reason, their Jurassic World stuff has a lot more views than FNAF or Undertale, which I do remember more, probably because of the cringe compilations. This feels like the same genre of video as like How It Should Have Ended, where they're doing animations about whatever new movie that comes out. I'm not too interested in these. I appreciate the dedication and the fact that all the music and animation, up until recently it looks like, were done by the same guy. Undertale the Musical is a parody of Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, which unsurprisingly follows the story of the game. Frisk or Chara both sing about killing monsters and stuff, because that's what you do in Undertale. Unlike 3Lame, you can tell this guy actually played the game or at least watched one of the 20 million Let's Plays of it. A lot of people dogged on this back then because of the simple, sort of off-putting designs, which I will admit aren't too fun to look at, and those auto-tuned vocals. Also, it was Undertale, and Undertale bad. Undertale bad. YouTube user Peepo recreated the rigs one-to-one and started making these new animations with them. No doubt you've seen this Despicable Me one. And then it turned into this whole thing with people putting new characters into the original video and using the Frisk and Chara rigs. I have huge respect for what this artist is able to do with all these characters. The story of Undertale actually has a full-on happy ending. The original artist seems to be embracing the meme and is still doing normal stuff on their channel. Springtrap, do you have anything to say to us? Yeah, I thought not.
She is Frisk from Undertale.
Now that I think about it, it's really preposterous how my memories of the Undertale fandom weren't of the actual good fanworks themselves, rather the mini culture war that happened over the game between, let's face it, 14-year-olds. As a kid, I didn't really think about it, but I'm sure a lot of the people engaging in cringe culture content, or at least those who were ravenous about it, were insecure kids like I was at the time. Like, frankly, I should have just enjoyed all of it and hope you folks watching this take that away. Otherwise, you're stuck 2 videos in a row where you bring up 3Lame Studios like me. Also, did you know that 3Lame did a Deltarune animation? And since Undertale is turning 10, I definitely want to give the game another playthrough. And that one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Hey there, if you like Angry Birds, Super Mario, Minecraft, funny parodies, and so on and so forth, you're in the right place. Exactly, you're watching 3Lame Studio. Check out the videos in the playlist section, and don't forget to subscribe to 3Lame Studio.